The alien mother accepts losing her emotions to save her child until she meets him. The acid rain fell without mercy on Ferrix IX, etching scars into the steel towers of Iron Quay. This slum, home to 12,000 souls crammed into stacked shipping containers, trembled under the constant downpour. Each drop sizzled on metal, eating through anything not coated in protective layers. Marcus Hale, 34 years old, pushed through it all in his acid-proof gray coat, the fabric heavy and slick. His broad shoulders cut a path along the swaying catwalks, knuckles bandaged from old fights. As a debt collector for Rourke Kane, he had learned to ignore the burn in his lungs, the way the air tasted like rust. His boots clanged on the narrow walkway, a rhythm against the rain's hiss, as he headed for Unit B-47, another job, another debt. Inside B-47, the air was stale, thick with the tang of recycled oxygen. Celine Voss stood by a cracked table, her silver eyes like twin moons against her blue lavender skin. Her buzzed undercut caught the dim light of a flickering bulb. Lena, 8, and Mara, 6, clung to her sides, their small faces pale but defiant. Celine's voice was steady, almost mechanical. I need more time, Marcus. The work's dried up. Marcus shifted, his scar above his brow itching under her gaze. He'd been a prize fighter once, before an accidental kill banned him from the ring. Now, collecting for Kane, he buried guilt under necessity. You know how this works, Celine. Pay or Kane sends worse than me. Lena's curious stare bored into him. Mara's quiet focus sharper still. He looked away, jaw tight. At Kane's pristine office, high above the slum's rust, Marcus stood before a desk of polished carbon. Rourke Kane, 45, leaned back in his nano-clean suit, untouched by the rain's acid. Got a delivery job for you, Hale. He slid a crate across the desk, its violet glow pulsing like a heartbeat. Marcus's stomach twisted. He knew that light. Celine's empathion, the Lyrin organ that held her emotions, sold to settle her debt. Kane's translucent gloves gleamed as he smiled, cold as the steel outside. Medical crate, no questions. Marcus gripped the crate's handle, its warmth unnerving, and felt Lena's eyes in his memory, asking questions he couldn't answer. The rusty pulse bar was a haze of neon and smoke, the slum's beating heart. Marcus nursed a synthetic whiskey, the crate hidden under his coat. Drinks, the bartender, leaned close, his voice low. Heard Kane's moving. Organs, yeah, more than just a Celine's. Marcus's fingers tightened on the glass. Organ trafficking. He'd suspected, but hearing it stirred something old, something from the ring. He left without a word, the crate's glow burning against his side. Dr. Calder Morrow's clinic was a pit of plastic sheets and dying LEDs. Morrow, 50, his apron stained, peered at the empathion through cracked lenses. This thing's alive, Hale. Needs a host. Neural adapter, military grade. 40% survival odds. Marcus stared at the organ, its violet pulse syncing with his own heartbeat. He saw Mara's small hand clutching Celine's jumpsuit, Lena's questions echoing. Why her? Why this? Mara's nicotine-stained fingers hesitated. You volunteering, or you walking away? Marcus didn't answer, not out loud. In his cramped container home, walls patched with scrap, Marcus sat alone. The crate glowed on the table, casting shadows on his bandaged knuckles. He closed his eyes and the ring came back. The crowd's roar, his opponent's body crumpling, blood pooling under lights. An accident, but his hand still carried it. He saw Lena's face, Mara's silence, Celine's empty eyes. He'd taken enough. His fingers brushed the crate, warm as a living thing. All right, I'll do it. The decision settled like rust in his bones. Morrow's clinic hummed with static as Marcus lay on the table, wires snaking from his chest. The neural adapter gleamed, cold and sharp. This'll hurt, Hale. Morrow's hands moved fast, tools sparking under the LEDs. The empathion pulsed, its light flooding the room. Marcus gritted his teeth, pain like fire in his nerves. Then it hit. Celine's emotions, love for her daughters fierce and bright, grief for a husband heavy as iron, rage, endless rage. His vision blurred, memories not his own crashing like waves. A man's face, a machine exploding. He gasped, chest heaving, as Morrow stitched him shut. "You're in it now, Hale. No going back." Marcus stumbled into Iron Quay's alleys, the empathion's weight pulling at his chest. The rain burned his coat, but he barely felt it. Celine's emotions churned inside him, her love for Lena and Mara like a beacon. He found Unit B-47 again, knocking softly. Celine opened the door, her silver eyes blank. Why'd you do it?" Marcus shifted, awkward. "Seemed like the right call." Lena peeked out, her violet eyes wide. Mara clutched a small tool, silent but watching. Marcus knelt, voice rough. "You two, stay close, all right?" Celine's hand brushed his arm, mechanical but grateful. Outside, drones hummed, their red beams cutting through the fog. Kane's enforcers were coming. The catwalk swayed as Marcus led Celine, Lena, and Mara through the slum. His heart pounded, the empathion's pulse syncing with his own. Celine's voice was flat, explaining the organ's biology. Lyrin organ stores empathy, regulates emotion. Without it, I'm just logic. Marcus saw her husband's face again, a memory sharp as a blade, a machine failure. Kane's voice in the background. Not an accident. He gripped Lena's hand, Mara's small frame tucked against him. The drone's hum grew louder, closing in on the slum's 3-mile radius. Marcus glanced at Celine, her data tool belt glinting. "You got a plan, boss?" She nodded, eyes like steel. "Always." They moved faster toward the abandoned gas filtration plant, its skeletal cranes looming in the rain. The gas filtration plant loomed ahead, its rusted cranes clawing at the sky through sheets of acid rain. Marcus led the way, his boots splashing in shallow puddles, the empathion's pulse throbbing in his chest. Celine followed, her jumpsuit soaked, silver eyes scanning the shadows. Lena clung to her hand, violet eyes wide with questions, while Mara, tucked under Marcus's arm, gripped her small tool like a talisman. The drone's hum grew sharper, red beams slicing through the fog across Iron Quay's 3-mile sprawl. "Keep moving," Marcus muttered, his voice rough, Celine's emotions swirling inside him. Love for her daughters burned bright, but grief, raw, jagged, clawed at his nerves. He wasn't built for this. Inside the plant, the air was thick with oil and rust. Marcus set Mara down, her indigo eyes darting to the skeletal machinery. Celine knelt by a concealed terminal, her fingers dancing over keys, waking lights that hadn't glowed in years. "I coded this grid," she said, voice flat but precise. 47 cranes, 120 steam vents, 600 lights, all mine. Marcus raised an eyebrow, impressed despite himself. The empathion flared and a memory hit. Celine's husband, Taryn, laughing with Lena, then a machine exploding in a shower of sparks. Marcus stumbled, catching himself on a rusted beam. What was that?" Celine didn't look up. "My past. You're carrying it now." The plant's shadows flickered as drones closed in, their beams painting the walls red. Marcus pushed Lena and Mara behind a stack of crates, his carbon fiber gloves creaking. "Stay low, stay quiet." The girls nodded, Mara's small hand squeezing Lena's. Outside, Vara, Kane's cold-eyed lieutenant, barked orders, her voice cutting through the rain. She was close. Marcus's heart raced, the empathion amplifying Celine's rage. Rage at Kane, at loss, at everything. He clenched his fists, knuckles aching under bandages. He'd fought in rings, not slums, but the instinct was the same. In the rusty pulse miles away, the air was tense. Kane's enforcers stormed the bar, their boots scuffing the neon-lit floor. Drinks wiping a glass kept his face neutral as they questioned him. Seen Hale, the Lyrin woman. Drinks shrugged casual. Folks come and go, but his fingers, hidden under the counter, tapped a coded signal to the Interstellar Inspection Corps. Across Iron Quay, a street vendor watched from his stall, his weathered hands pausing over a crate of synth fruit. "Hale's running," he whispered to a customer, voice low, "defying Cain. Brave or stupid." Rumors spread like sparks, flickering through the slum's towers. Marcus's vision swam as another memory hit. Taryn's face, then Cain's voice, cold and deliberate, ordering a machine sabotage. Murder. He gripped a pipe, steadying himself, the empathion's pulse hammering. "Celine, your husband. It wasn't an accident." Her silver eyes flicked to him, emotionless but sharp. "I know. No proof." She turned back to the terminal, fingers flying. Marcus marveled at her focus, her logic a shield where her heart should be. He glanced at the girls, Lena's freckles faint in the dim light. Mara humming a strange Lyrin tune, soft but steady. The catwalks outside groaned under new weight. Vara's drones locked onto Seleni's terminal signal, their scanners pinging through the plant's walls. Marcus scooped Mara up, her small frame light but trembling. "We gotta move." Selene nodded, shutting the terminal with a snap. "There's a safe spot. Old maintenance shaft." They slipped through a narrow corridor, the girl's footsteps soft against the clang of metal. Marcus's chest burned, the empathion's emotions a storm. Love, grief, rage, all at once. He saw Taryn again, heard Cain's voice. Proof or not, he knew. In a rusted container, hidden deep in the plant, Marcus set the girls down. Acid rain drummed above, muffled but relentless. He crouched, voice low. "You two, you okay?" Lena nodded, but her violet eyes were wide, searching. "Why are you helping us, Marcus?" He hesitated, a dry laugh escaping. "Well, seemed like a bad day to be a jerk." Mara didn't smile, just watched him, her tool clutched tight. Celine knelt beside them, her jumpsuit patched but neat. The empathion, it's a Lyrin organ, stores empathy, makes us feel. She touched her chest, empty. "Without it, I'm less." Marcus felt her love surge through him, fierce for her daughters. He didn't know how to carry it. The drone's hum grew louder, their beams slicing closer. Marcus peered through a crack in the container, spotting Vera's silhouette, her cold eyes scanning. "They're here." Celine's fingers tightened on her data tool belt. "I can slow them. The grid's mine." She tapped a device and a distant crane groaned, shifting to block a path. Marcus marveled, his fighter's instincts kicking in. He'd protect them, whatever it took. The empathion pulsed, Celine's rage fueling him. "Let's keep moving." They slipped out, the catwalk swaying under their weight. Marcus carried Mara, her small arms clinging as acid rain burned holes in his coat. Lena stayed close to Celine, her steps quick but steady. The plant's machinery loomed, a maze of pipes and vents. Celine's terminal had betrayed their location, but she was already rerouting signals, her logic unshaken. Marcus saw another flash. Taryn's death. Cain's voice clear now. Murder for profit. His fists clenched, the empathion's pulse sinking with his anger. "Celine, we need that proof." She nodded, eyes like steel. "We'll find it. Together." The drones closed in, their red beams cutting through the fog as the plant's cranes began to hum, alive with Celine's code. The gas filtration plant's skeletal cranes loomed like ghosts in the acid rain, their rusted arms creaking as Marcus led Selene, Lena, and Mara deeper into the maze. The empathion pulsed in his chest, a violet heartbeat syncing with his own, flooding him with Selene's memories. Her husband Tyron smiled in one flash, then screamed as a machine exploded in another. Cain's voice, cold and deliberate, ordered the sabotage. Marcus stumbled, gripping a pipe to steady himself, the truth clawing at him. Celine, I saw it. Kane killed him. Celine's silver eyes flicked to him, emotionless but sharp as a blade. No proof. Not yet. Nah. Her fingers moved over a concealed terminal, its screen flickering to life with a hum. The terminal glowed, revealing Iron Quay's hidden nervous system. 47 cranes, 120 steam vents, 600 lights, all coded to obey Celine's commands. I built this, she said, her voice flat but proud. When I was an engineer, before. Marcus marveled, the Empathion's love for her daughters surging through him, fierce and warm. Lena, clutching Mara's hand, watched her mother's fingers dance across the keys. Mama, can you make it fight? Celine nodded, a ghost of a smile on her lips. It already is. Outside, the drone's red beams sliced closer, Vara's voice barking through the fog. They were running out of time. Marcus knelt by the girls, his acid-scarred coat dripping. Lena, you're going to learn something. He guided her small hands to a crane control, its levers cold but responsive. Lena's violet eyes widened, but she nodded steady. Mara hummed a strange Lyrin tune, her indigo gaze fixed on the terminal's glow. Marcus felt Celine's pride through the Empathion, a flicker of warmth in the storm of grief. He glanced at her, her buzzed undercut glinting under the dim lights. You're kind of a genius, Voss. She didn't look up, but her fingers paused just for a moment. Miles away, the rusty pulse bar trembled under Kane's enforcer's boots. Drinks polished to glass, his face calm as Vera leaned close, her cold eyes narrowing. Where's Hale? Drinks shrugged, casual. Guy's a ghost, you tell me. His fingers hidden under the counter sent another coded ping to the Interstellar Inspection Corps. A faint beep lost in the bar's hum. High in a container tower, a worker named Joran watched the enforcers from his window, his wife clutching their son. They're after organs again, he whispered, fear heavy in his voice. Hale's fighting back. Maybe we should too. The slum's whispers grew, a spark in the rust. The Empathion flared again, sharper now, pulling Marcus into another memory. Terran's death played in vivid detail. Kane's voice, a comms log, ordering the machine's failure to force workers into selling their Empathions. Profit over lives. Marcus's fist clenched, knuckles aching under bandages. Celine, it's enough to bury him. She shook her head, her data tool belt clinking as she worked. Needs to be public. Iron Quay has to see. Her logic was cold, but the Empathion's rage in Marcus burned hot, urging him to act. A drone's beam cut through the plant's wall, its hum deafening. Vera had intercepted Celine's terminal signal, her enforcers closing in. Marcus scooped Mara up, her small tool clutched tight, and grabbed Lena's hand. Move now! Celine slammed the terminal shut, a crane outside groaning as it swung to block a path. The girl's footsteps echoed, soft but quick, as they slipped through a narrow passage. Marcus's chest burned, the Empathion's emotions a tangle of love and vengeance. He saw Terran's face again, felt Celine's grief like a weight on his ribs. We'll get him, Celine, I swear. In a shadowed corner of the plant, Marcus set the girls down, their breaths fast in the damp air. Lena's violet eyes searched his face. Why are you helping us, Marcus? Really? He hesitated, a dry laugh escaping. Well, guess I'm tired of breaking things. Mara's indigo gaze held his, silent but piercing, as if she saw through him. The Empathion pulsed, Celine's love for her daughters grounding him. He glanced at Celine, her fingers adjusting event control, rerouting steam to slow Vara's men. You got more tricks, Voss? She nodded, her silver eyes glinting. Enough. The plant's machinery hummed, alive with Celine's code. A steam vent hissed, scalding an enforcer outside, his scream faint through the walls. Marcus trained Lena on another control, her small hands steady on the levers. Just like that kid? You're a natural. Mara's humming grew louder, the Lyrin tune weaving through the Empathion's pulse, calming Marcus's racing heart. He felt Celine's pride again, her engineering genius a lifeline in the chaos. But Vara's drones were relentless, their beams locking onto the plant's core. They were trapped. Celine tapped her data tool, rerouting power to dim Kane's warehouse lights miles away. His organs need power. He'll feel this. Marcus grinned, grim but impressed. You play dirty. Her silver eyes met his, unyielding. I play to win. The Empathion surged, her maternal love flooding Marcus, urging him to protect the girls at all costs. He checked his gloves, fists ready, as Vara's boots clanged closer. The plant's cranes shifted, a low groan echoing like a warning. Marcus vowed to keep Lena and Mara safe, the Empathion's pulse a drumbeat in his chest, driving him forward. The filtration plant's cranes groaned to life, their massive arms swinging through the acid fog as Kane's forces closed in. 20 drones cast red beams across the rusted structures, their hum blending with the rain's relentless sizzle. Marcus pressed against a cold pipe, his chest heaving, the Empathion's pulse racing with Celine's stored rage. Celine's fingers flew over a terminal in the control booth, rerouting Iron Quay's power grid with precise taps. Kane's warehouse dims now, she murmured, her silver eyes fixed on the screen. His organs spoil without it. Lena and Mara huddled beside her, their small faces pale but determined, watching the vents redirect steam in hazy bursts. Outside, enforcers advanced, their boots clanging on metal walkways. Marcus slipped from cover, his fists clenched, carbon fiber gloves creaking. Two of them rounded a corner, weapons raised, but the Empathion guided him, Celine's fury sharpening his instincts. He struck first, a solid punch crumpling one's helmet, then a knee to the gut dropping the second. Their groans echoed, lost in the plant's din. Marcus dragged them into shadows, his arm burning from the effort, but the organ's emotions pushed him on, a mix of grief and resolve fueling every move. Kane arrived amid the chaos, his nano-clean suit gleaming untouched by the rain, enforcers flanking him like shadows. "Hale!" His voice cut through the fog, cold and commanding. "The Empathion expires in 48 hours. Hand it over." Marcus peered from his spot, the Empathion flaring with memories of Terran's murder. Kane's face twisted in greed. Selene in the booth glanced at her daughters, her voice steady. "There's a way to restore it." The resonant chant. Lena's violet eyes widened, Mara's indigo gaze sharpening. "An old Lyrin ritual," Selene continued. "Me, Marcus, and you two. 36 hours of harmony?" A resident in a distant tower peered through a cracked window, acid rain streaking the glass. "It Kane's drones everywhere," she whispered to her neighbor, fear lacing her words. "If Hale fights, maybe we can too." Her hands trembled, clutching a scrap tool, the slum's whispers turning to quiet prayers for rebellion. Back in the plant, Marcus carried Mara across a collapsing catwalk, her tiny arms clinging tight as acid burned holes in his coat. The walkway groaned, metal buckling under their weight, but he leaped to safety, setting her down beside Lena. Kane's threat echoed through the speakers he'd hacked. "Surrender the organ, Hale, or the girl dies." Lena. Marcus's heart slammed, the Empathion's maternal love surging like a wave, protective and fierce. He signaled Selene, her fingers activating a magnetic pulse from the terminal. Weapons flew upward, enforcers scrambling as guns clattered to the cranes above. Steam vents erupted, forming a scalding fog that bought precious seconds. Marcus dashed to the booth, scooping Lena into his arms, her freckles faint in the dim light. "Not today, Kane." The standoff stretched, enforcers regrouping under Vara's sharp commands, their drones weaving through the haze. Celine's grid held, cranes blocking paths, lights flickering to disorient. Marcus felt the Empathion's weight, its violet glow dimming slightly, a reminder of the ticking clock. We start the chant soon, Celine said, her logic cutting through the tension. It needs us all. Mara nodded, her white hair damp, humming the Lyrin tune again, soft but insistent. Lena gripped Marcus's hand, her voice small. I'm ready. Enforcers breached a side door, their steps heavy, but a redirected conveyor belt slammed into them, sparks flying. Marcus fought another pair, his fists a blur, guided by the organ's rage, Celine's memories of loss turning to strength. He pinned one against a vent, steam hissing as the man yelled. Kane watched from afar, his translucent gloves flexing, frustration cracking his calm facade. You're outmatched, Hale. But Marcus spat blood, grinning grimly. Numbers don't count feelings. The magnetic pulse faded. Enforcers recovering their weapons, advancing again. Celine rerouted more power, dimming Kane's warehouse further, a distant alarm blaring through the grid. His empire teetered. Marcus gathered the girls, leading them toward the converted gas tank, the resonance chamber, its crude setup waiting. Lena's hand in his felt small but strong, Mara's humming a steady anchor. The plant's machinery roared, a living barrier against the encroaching forces. Vara led the charge now, her cold eyes locked on the booth, drones flanking her. But Celine's vents erupted once more, fog thickening, slowing their advance. Marcus glanced back, the Empathion's pulse sinking with his resolve. We make it through this, he muttered to the girls. Family sticks. Kane's voice boomed again, demanding surrender, but the words fell flat against the rising hum of the cranes. The trap was closing, but Iron Quay's grid fought back, a web of steel and code woven by Celine's hands. The resonance chamber, a converted gas tank buried deep in the filtration plant, hummed with patched monitors and flickering lights. Celine arranged crude tools, an industrial scalpel, rusted but sharp, and wires dangling from a cracked console. Marcus stood, chest tight, the Empathion's violet pulse straining his heart, survival odds slipping to 30%. This thing's heavy, he muttered, sweat beading on his scarred brow. Celine's silver eyes met his, emotionless but steady. 36 hours, unbroken chant. It'll live. Lena and Mara stood close, their small hands trembling but resolute, ready to anchor the ritual. The girls began the resonant chant, their voices weaving an ancient Lyrin melody, soft yet piercing through the plant's din. Lena's violet eyes focused, Mara's indigo gaze unwavering, their harmony syncing with the Empathion's glow. Marcus felt it, a pulse of calm, grounding him despite the organ's weight. Outside, Kane's enforcers breached the plant, their boots clanging, but cranes swung, guided by Celine's grid, blocking paths with screeching metal. The slum fought for them. Marcus's vision flickered, another memory hitting. Celine teaching Lena the chant years ago. Her voice warm then, not mechanical. Celine's fingers danced over the console, rerouting steam vents to scald advancing enforcers, their yells muffled by the fog. Keep singing, she told the girls, her logic unshaken. Marcus joined the chant, his rough voice stumbling over the melody, but finding its rhythm, pulled from Celine's memories. Didn't sign up for this, he muttered, a dry laugh escaping. Lena glanced at him, her freckles faint in the dim light, and squeezed Mara's hand. The Empathion pulsed brighter, responding to their voices, a fragile hope in the rust. Miles away, Iron Quay's workers stirred, inspired by Drinks' signal. A group of mechanics, tools in hand, rewired Kane's drones, their circuits sparking as they crashed into towers. For Hale, one whispered, his hands steady despite the rain. For all of us. Their sabotage rippled, slowing Vera's advance, the slum's pulse growing stronger. Back in the chamber, Mara's voice faltered, her small frame trembling under the chant's weight. Lena gripped her tighter, projecting calm, her violet eyes fierce. "You can do it, Mara!" Vara's voice cut through the plant's speakers, sharp and cold. "Cut the power!" Darkness fell, monitors flickering out, the chamber plunged into shadow. Marcus's heart lurched, the empathion dimming, but Celine's grid rerouted emergency lights, their faint glow flaring back. She wouldn't break. Marcus steadied Mara, his bandaged hand gentle on her shoulder. "Keep going, kid." Her indigo eyes met his, and she sang again, voice cracking but strong. The chant wove tighter, the organ's pulse stabilizing, a faint hum in the air. Kane's enforcers pressed closer, their weapons scraping against metal as cranes blocked their paths. Marcus fought exhaustion, the empathion's emotions, love, grief, rage, pulling at his nerves. He saw Celine's memory again, her teaching the girls the chant, Turin's laughter in the background. His voice joined theirs, rough but steady, anchoring the ritual. "We're doing this together." Celine's silver eyes flicked to him, a nod of approval, her fingers never slowing on the console. The plant shook as a conveyor belt slammed into a drone, sparks flying in the fog. Celine's vents erupted again, scalding enforcers, their screams fading into the rain. Lena's voice held strong. Mara's growing steadier, their harmony a thread holding the empathion alive. Marcus felt his heart strain, pain shooting through his chest, but the girls' voices kept him grounded. "Can't stop now," he muttered, his scarred hands steadying them. Vera's drones regrouped, their beams cutting through the haze, locking onto the chamber. Celine rerouted more power, dimming Kane's warehouse further, alarms blaring across Iron Quay. "He's losing control," she said, her voice flat but triumphant. Marcus grinned, grim but fierce. "Good. Let him squirm." The empathion pulsed, its violet light brightening, syncing with the chant's rhythm. Hope was alive. The enforcers breached another door, their steps heavy, weapons raised. Marcus moved to block the entrance, his fists ready, the empathion's rage fueling him. A steam vent hissed, forcing them back, but Vara's voice echoed, unrelenting. "End this, Hale!" He spat into the fog, his voice low. "Not today." The girl's chant grew louder, filling the chamber, a melody older than the slum's rust. Marcus glanced back, Lena's freckles glowing faintly, Mara's white hair damp but her eyes fierce. Celine's grid roared, cranes swinging, vents erupting, the plant a living weapon against Kane's forces. The empathion's pulse steadied, its glow a beacon in the dark. Marcus felt Celine's love for her daughters, fierce and unyielding, urging him to hold on. "We're close," he muttered, his voice rough but resolute. The chamber's monitors flickered, the scalpel gleaming, ready for the ritual's end. The rain outside pounded harder, but inside the chant held strong, a fragile thread weaving life into the organ as Iron Quay's rebellion stirred in the shadows. The filtration plant roared, a beast awakened by Celine's grid. Cranes slammed into Kane's vehicles, metal screeching as they crumpled under rusted arms. Steam vents erupted, scalding enforcers in waves of acid fog, their screams swallowed by the rain's relentless hiss. Marcus stood at the resonance chamber's entrance, fists clenched, the empathion's violet pulse hammering in his chest. Celine's rage fueled him, her memories of Taran's murder sharpening his focus. Celine's fingers flew over the console, projecting Kane's damning comms log across 200 public displays in Iron Quay. "Let them see," she said, her silver eyes glinting, voice flat but triumphant. Outside, the slum's towers flickered, screens blazing with Kane's cold voice, ordering Taran's death. "Profit over lives," it echoed, exposing his organ trafficking empire. Residents leaned from windows, their whispers turning to shouts, scrap metal raining down on enforcers below. Marcus faced Kane in the plant's heart, his nano-clean suit stark against the rust. "Hale, you're nothing," Kane spat, his translucent gloves flexing. Marcus grinned, blood on his lips, fists raised. Feelings outweigh numbers. He lunged, his punch driven by Celine's grief, landing hard on Kane's jaw. In the chamber, Lena's voice wavered, her heartbeat weak, the empathion flickering. Mara sang louder, her indigo eyes fierce, white hair damp against her face. "Don't stop, Lena!" Their harmony tightened, the organ's glow pulsing stronger, syncing with their rhythm. Marcus took a blade to the arm, blood mixing with rain, but he pinned Kane against a conveyor, its belt grinding ominously. The empathion's love for the girl surged, steadying his shaking hands. He wouldn't fall. High above, 12 interstellar inspection corps drones descended, their sleek forms cutting through the acid rain, beams sweeping the plant. Residents cheered from towers, their voices rising over the storm, a rebellion born in rust. "They're here," a woman shouted, tossing a wrench at a fleeing enforcer. "Iron Quay's done kneeling." The drone's signals jammed Vara's comms, her cold eyes narrowing as she barked orders, her men faltering. Celine's grid trapped Vara in a magnetic field, her screams echoing as weapons flew from her hands, pinned to a crane's arm. Marcus grappled Kane, their boots slipping on wet metal, the conveyors hum drowning their grunts. Kane's fist caught Marcus's ribs, but the empathion's rage pushed him forward, a headbutt sending Kane staggering. "You killed her husband," Marcus roared, his voice raw. Kane smirked, dodging a swing. "Business, Hale, nothing personal." Marcus's next punch landed, blood-flecking Kane's pristine suit, the slum's screens replaying his crimes in a loop. The residents' shouts grew louder, a tide turning against their tormentor. Inside the chamber, the chant held strong, Lena's voice steadying, Mara's harmony unwavering. The empathion glowed brighter, its pulse a drumbeat tying their hearts together. Celine's fingers paused on the console, her silver eyes flicking to her daughters. "Almost there," she whispered, her logic bending under the ritual's weight. Marcus felt it through the organ, hope, fragile but growing. He slammed Kane against a pipe, the man's gloves tearing, his calm cracking. "You're done, Kane." Vera's drones crashed, sabotaged by workers' rewired circuits, sparks lighting the fog. The plant's cranes swung wildly, one smashing a vehicle into scrap, enforcers scattering. Marcus's arm bled, pain searing, but the empathion's pulse kept him moving. Celine's love for her girls, a fire in his chest. He fought for them. Kane kicked free, lunging with a blade, but a steam vent erupted, scalding his hand, forcing him back. "You can't win," he snarled. Marcus grinned, grim and fierce. "Watch me." The Corps' drones zeroed in, their beams locking onto Kane's men, broadcasting his crimes to Ferrix IX's central network. Residents joined the fight, tossing tools and pipes, their defiance a roar against the rain. In the chamber, the empathion's glow peaked, its pulse syncing perfectly with Lena's heartbeat, Mara's voice a steady anchor. Celine's hands trembled, the scalpel ready, her logic fraying as the ritual neared its end. "Hold on," she murmured, eyes on her daughters. Marcus pinned Kane again, his strength fading, blood dripping from his arm. The slum's screens flared, showing Terran's murder, Kane's voice undeniable. The residents' cheers shook the towers, a rebellion fully alive. Marcus's vision blurred, the empathion straining his heart, but Mara's humming reached him, steadying his breath. "Not giving up," he muttered, his fist tightening. Kane struggled, his empire crumbling as the Corps closed in, their drones a promise of justice. The chant crescendoed, the empathion's light flooding the chamber, a beacon in the rust. Marcus held Kane down, his scarred hands steady, the organ's pulse tying him to the girls, to Celine, to Iron Quay. "This is for them," he growled, his voice low but fierce. The plant shook, cranes and vents fighting as one, the slum's heart beating through Celine's code. The rebellion surged unstoppable as the ritual's melody wove life into the organ, and the core's lights pierced the fog, closing the trap. The resonance chamber pulsed with violet light, the empathion's glow flooding the converted gas tank as the chant reached its peak. Celine stood before the patched monitors, her silver eyes locked on Lena and Mara, their voices unwavering despite exhaustion. With steady hands, she picked up the industrial scalpel, its blade catching the light, and opened her chest, the cut precise, mechanical. "It's time," she said, her voice flat but resolute. Marcus, barely conscious, leaned against a rusted wall, his arm bleeding, the organ's weight straining his heart. "Hold on, just a bit more." His rough voice joined the lullaby from Celine's memories, stabilizing the resonance field, the melody weaving through the air like a thread of hope. Lena and Mara pressed their small hands to the empathion, their freckles and white hair glowing faintly, voices harmonizing in the ancient Lyrin rite. The organ pulsed, its violet light syncing with their heartbeats, transferring energy in a slow, building wave. Outside, Kane broke free from Marcus's grip, lunging toward the chamber, his nano-clean suit torn, eyes wild with desperation. But a crane swung, guided by Celine's grid, knocking him into a steam vent, scalding fog erupting around him. He screamed, staggering back, as the plant's machinery roared in defiance. Inspectors from the interstellar core stormed the plant, their boots clanging, drones broadcasting Kane's crimes to Ferrix IX's central network, screens across the planet flickering with his comms log. "Rourke Kane, you're under arrest," one barked, cuffs ready. Kane's enforcers faltered, weapons dropping as residents' cheers echoed from the towers. A tide of voices claiming freedom. Vara's magnetic trap hummed, her screams fading, the core pulling her free but cuffing her wrists. The slum's pulse shifted from fear to fury, scrap tools clattering against metal in rhythm with the rain. The empathion pulsed stronger, its light flooding Celine's open chest, transferring in a surge of violet energy. She gasped, her silver eyes widening as emotion flooded back. Love, grief, rage, all at once. I feel," she whispered, tears streaming for the first time since the sale. Lena's violet eyes brimmed, Mara's indigo gaze softening, their hands still pressed, anchoring the ritual's end. "Mama," Lena murmured, voice cracking. Celine reached for them, her jumpsuit stained, empathy overwhelming in waves. Marcus collapsed against the wall, his heart faltering, pain shooting through his chest as the empathion dimmed. Mara's small hand touched his chest, her touch steady, indigo eyes meeting his scarred face. He felt her calm, a legacy of the bond, steadying his breath, pulling him back from the edge. Family. His bandaged knuckles relaxed, the lullaby fading on his lips, Celine's restored emotions echoing in his mind like a warm echo. "You did it, kid," he muttered, a dry smile cracking his face. Iron Quay's residents cheered from the towers, their voices rising over the acid rain, claiming their freedom in a roar that shook the stacked containers. "No more Kane," one shouted, tools raised high. The core's drones swept the plant, cuffing enforcers, their beams cutting through the fog like justice. Celine cradled Lena and Mara, her tears mixing with theirs, restored empathy flooding her, fierce and tender. "Thank you, Marcus," she whispered, her voice warm now, not mechanical. He nodded, pushing himself up, his coat dripping, the empathion's weight lifting as the transfer completed. Kane was cuffed, his sharp suit rumpled, dragged toward a core vehicle as residents watched from catwalks, their faces hard but triumphant. "This isn't over," he snarled, but his voice broke, empire crumbling under the weight of exposed crimes. The screens looped his murder order, Terran's face a ghost haunting him. Iron Quay declared self-governance. 12,000 voices united in a vote broadcast across the grid. No syndicate owning them anymore. Celine's code shifted, lights brightening, cranes stilling, the slum breathing free. Marcus steadied himself, watching Celine with her daughters, the chamber's monitors beeping softly, the scalpel set aside. "We're not running," he said, his voice rough but light. Celine smiled, tears drying, her blue lavender skin glowing under the lights. "No, we're turning the lights on." Lena hugged her, Mara's small tool clinking against Celine's belt. The family bond sealed in resonance, restored. The plant quieted, corp wrapping up, enforcers led away in chains. Residents gathered below, their cheers fading into murmurs of plans, collective governance taking root. Marcus felt the Empathion's echo fade, his heart his own again. But Celine's love lingered, a quiet strength. He ruffled Mara's hair, Lena's violet eyes meeting his with a grin. The acid rain slowed outside, fog lifting, Iron Quay's tower standing tall. Celine closed her chest, the wound sealing under a patch bandage, her empathy alive, pulsing like the organ reborn. She turned to Marcus, her silver eyes soft now, hand extended. "Family?" He took it, grip firm. "If you'll have me." The chamber's light dimmed, the ritual complete, as the slum's new dawn broke through the rust, a wobbly but steady future ahead. Weeks later, the acid rain on Ferrix IX eased to a light drizzle, Iron Quay's tower standing taller under patches of faint sunlight. Marcus opened a repair shop in a repurposed container, its walls lined with tools clanging under new lights, the air thick with oil and fresh welds. His broad shoulders moved with purpose, bandaged knuckles less raw now, fixing a drone circuit with steady hands. Celine worked beside him, her Empathion restored. Blue lavender skin glowing softly as she mended micro-circuits with mechanical precision, her smile warm and genuine. "This one's tricky," she said, silver eyes focused, her voice carrying the tenderness she'd lost and regained. Lena discovered her gift in the bustling market, her violet eyes calm as she projected serenity across a heated dispute, soothing raised voices with a gentle touch. "It's okay," she murmured to the arguing vendors, their shoulders relaxing, the crowd settling like ripples fading in a puddle. Mara tinkered with a nearby terminal, her small fingers rewiring a streetlight to flicker in playful code, her indigo eyes grinning at the pattern only she understood. "Watch this, Lena." The light danced, drawing laughs from passers-by, the slum's rhythm lighter now. Iron Quay's residents gathered in the central hub, their 12,000 voices united in a vote for collective governance, hands raised high under patched solar panels. "We own this," one worker shouted, tools clinking in agreement. "No syndicates, no debts hanging like rust." The rusty pulse bar buzzed with stories, drinks toasting quietly to their victory, his role as the Corps' informant hidden behind a casual grin. "To new beginnings," he muttered, wiping a glass, the neon lights reflecting in his eyes. Marcus and Celine built a dinner table from scrap in their shared container, its legs wobbly but holding under a simple meal of synth bread and filtered water. Lena set the plates, her freckles catching the light, while Mara adjusted a leg with her tool, indigo eyes focused. Marcus ruffled Lena's hair, his scar above his brow, less prominent in the warm glow. "Steady enough?" Celine nodded, her jumpsuit clean now, empathy shining in her silver eyes. "It holds." They sat, the table creaking softly, laughter bubbling as Mara mimicked a crane's swing. The shop's door creaked open to residents seeking fixes, their faces less haunted, stories of Cain's fall shared like old scars. Marcus handed a repaired comms unit to a worker, his dry humor surfacing. "Won't explode." "Probably." The man chuckled, clapping his shoulder, the slum's bonds strengthening in small acts. Celine watched, her restored heart swelling with pride, the Empathion's pulse a quiet hum in her chest. Lena practiced her calm in the corner, soothing a fidgety child, her violet eyes wise beyond her years. Mara's coding grew bolder, her terminal hacks lighting paths through the grid, making Iron Quay's lights respond to her whims. Like Mama's, she said, white hair falling over her face. Celine knelt beside her, guiding her hand, their laughter echoing. The family's container felt alive. Walls patched, but strong. The acid rain outside a distant drum. They'd welded it together. Marcus leaned against the door watching them, his fighter's restlessness easing into contentment. Drinks slipped into the shop one evening, nursing a synthetic brew, his toast hidden in a nod. "You started something, Hale." Marcus shrugged, wiping oil from his gloves. "We all did." The barman left with a grin, his secret safe. The pulse's neon, a beacon in the towers. Iron Quay breathed freer, solar panels gleaming faintly, the drizzle washing away old rust. Lena turned to Marcus at the table, her voice small but curious. "Are you family now?" He ruffled her hair again, eyes soft. "If you'll have me." The laughter echoed through the iron corridors, a family forged in resonance, their bonds unbreakable. Celine's hand found Marcus's under the table, her empathy warm, the wobbly legs steadying as they ate. Mara's light flickered outside, a code for home, Lena's calm wrapping them all. The slum's voices mingled in the distance, governance meetings humming, no more shadows from Cain's empire. Marcus felt the echo of the Empathion fade completely, his heart light, the ring's guilt a distant memory. Iron Quay's towers stood resilient, cranes still but ready, the grid Celine's legacy pulsing quietly. Residents repaired walkways, shared tools, their defiance turned to building. "We choose this," Celine whispered one night, her head on Marcus's shoulder, the girls asleep nearby. He nodded, his arm around her, the container's warmth a shield against the drizzle. Redemption welded, one connection at a time. The laughter lingered, rust giving way to rebirth, their table holding strong in the heart of it all.